My guest today is the founder of Go and Live Storage, a new Hong Kong-based storage startup enterprise with big plans for how we think about and manage our personal effects at home, in the office and, well, in fact, just about anywhere. With an eclectic mix of professional and educational accomplishments before taking the plunge and dedicating himself to a big data logistics play, I started off by asking Mark Sims how his background in Australia and elsewhere led to his entrepreneurial seizure, and with it the business he's got going on in Hong Kong today.
My education is not a typical one or a planned one for somebody to go off and have a great career. I have a bachelor in computing and a bachelor in business accounting. I did a combined degree primarily because I was good at accounting and I liked computers and thought, well, this might be a way to find something that I actually like. I didn't have a career definition or path when I went into university. I got top marks in the school for accounting and thought, I clearly got to stay in that, but I really like these things called computers. So I did that.
So what did you do straight out of university?
Straight out of university, I actually got recruited before I left university by Pricewaterhouse as an accountant, but in their IT audit field. So I figured, okay, well, that's a good way of maintaining the accounting side, but learning more about the IT side and what's happening in the businesses. So it wasn't a new field, but it was something that they were trying to reinvent to be more service orientated and controls based, so we get in there and actually redo the audits based on IT controls rather than manual checking. And so you got to understand how businesses operated. It actually turned out to be magnificent. We really got to see the internal workings of businesses as a consequence of having to understand their data processes and IT systems.
So what happened in your career that brought you to Hong Kong in the first place?
Okay, that one's an interesting one. I got engaged, and at the time I was working in Australia, and my now wife was in Sydney and I was in Melbourne. I was on a project that had me travelling all over the place, and the deal was they'd fly me wherever I wanted to go at the end. When I struck that deal, I was single. So we were dating for this period of time where distance was not an issue. We got engaged, and then that project came to an end, and we had to make a decision. And I'd lived in Sydney and didn't want to go back, and she didn't like the cold of Melbourne. And over a lunchtime, I'll call it a discussion over the phone, my boss heard me, called me into his office and said, I have a solution. Why don't you go to Hong Kong?
You went on to get an MBA before you started your own business, correct?
I did.
Just talk me through how that all came together for you.
Well, I had a nice time at Oracle, but it was clear that because we were this global business unit, we didn't quite fit within the Asia framework, so we were reporting to the US. To go to the next level, I had to really move to the US, and my network in the US was pretty much non-existent, so that was very unlikely. And so promotions looked hard to come by, meaningful promotions. So I didn't know what to do next. And I looked around and I pigeonholed myself as a utility guy.
So what year was this?
This is back in 2011.
Okay.
Was when I started making the decision process. But I pigeonholed myself as a utility guy, and I wanted to be in Hong Kong. And so I looked around, and utilities, they're all my customers. And I was like, okay, there's not much there. I don't know what I'm going to do. Do I have to go back home? I spoke to a very good buddy of mine who's done his MBA. He sits on the admissions board for Harvard, and he said, get out there and do this. It'll change your life.
So where did you do your MBA?
I did my MBA at Ivy at Western University. And the main thing that they taught me, what surprised me was most of what they discussed was common sense. You know, I had done it at some point throughout my career, but they gave me confidence. That was the amazing thing. It made me realize as we did all these case studies and exercises and assignments out in industry that my skill set was transferable. And it made me say, well, I don't have to be in the utilities. So I did want to start my own business.
How did Go and Live come into being then?
By chance. Again, the MBA was a big part of that. We had to pitch so it was a new entrepreneurial module, and as part of it, they were taking us over to San Francisco to meet the tech startups, the incubators. Part of that, we had to pitch an idea, and I had nothing. I was really sitting the week before I had to pitch to this group of potential investors. Now, there was no guarantee they'd invest, but they were people that invested in industry, so that we got a real taste of it. Same guy that convinced me to do the MBA, I was sitting in his lounge room in Boston, and I said, I've got nothing. He said, it's got to be something to do with space. Space in Hong Kong. Just think about it. And he brainstormed with me for, I don't know, half an hour, and we came up with a version of this, slightly different. I took it to the pitch day, and the feedback was, you're onto something. It's a bit rough, but we'd be willing to give you a bit of cash if you're going to stick with it. And I wasn't expecting that, but the fact that somebody, and it wasn't a lot of money, but
how much did you get?
I didn't take it in the end. It was like
Okay.
10,000 US.
How much?
10,000. So it was really, just here's something to start you off, but with a ridiculous amount of percentage ownership tied to it.
Oh, they weren't giving it to you for free?
Oh,
then?
no. Oh, no, there was strings attached. That's why I didn't take it. But it made me think, wow, if somebody's willing just to meet me and say, we'll put some money down, maybe there's something here. So I came back, I talked to my wife, talked to a few people. It took me another 3 months of umming and ahhing until finally I went, I've got to do this. This is the time. I've got enough energy. I've got enough confidence in myself. My circle of influence is telling me this is time. It's not here in Hong Kong, and it's the perfect market. And so I threw in my job, and I've gone from a corporate life to from a company with over 130,000 employees to a company with 4. It's a little bit different.
And the market for storage in Hong Kong, what's so exciting about it for you?
Well, Hong Kong is growing. Population is getting bigger. Apartments are getting smaller. The industry, while it's saturated, is not meeting people's needs. People are, especially Hong Kong people, are about the here and now. I want it now. Storage is a great play in Hong Kong. It's always been a cash business and a real estate business. But that's the old model. And when I look at the way people in Hong Kong are living their life, it's all about, I want a service that is going to improve my life and get me what I need when I want it. And it just made sense that storage had to go in this way. And the fact that nobody was doing it, it was sort of, when I spoke to a few of the storage companies, they said, what you're embarking on is incredibly difficult and probably not worth it. And it struck me that if that's the case, then it's absolutely worth it. So yeah, it's something that I see it will make people's lives easier and better in Hong Kong.
Did you always conceive this as a technology play or a service play or a logistics play?
Originally, I saw it purely as a technology and service play, and that was because I didn't have the background in logistics. And by the technology play, I meant it was the technology platform facing the customer. But as I got into it, I realized the real technology is actually behind the scenes on the logistics. And our first couple of months, we built the front end for the customer, was great, but we had to do everything manually in the back end to learn exactly how it was going to work. When I modeled it before I before I actually got engaged, what I expected my customers to do and how they expected them to use it was completely wrong. So we had to really sit there, get our customers to use the service, to map out what our logistics should be, and then we could start building the back end around that. So
the back end technology, when I've looked at your business, it seems to me it's got a bit of an Uber-esque type flavour to it. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's really about scheduling the crews at the right time to the right location based on your needs. The difference with Uber is it's real time, it's here and now. Ours is more, I want it tomorrow. So we get a little bit of lead time on making sure we get the connections going on. And we get to be able to ensure that there is availability, whereas Uber is, they're not available, come back in 5 minutes. And that's their model, it's all about the here and now. With storage, there is a bit of, you do need a little bit of time to get ready and get it out. Plus the customers are not always at home. They're saying, I'm at work and I need this tonight. So make sure it's at my my home at 8:30.
So how long has it been since you opened the doors for business?
We went live 8 months ago.
And how much work did you put in before you went live?
Way too much. I spent about 4.5 months developing business plans and modelling, and what I should have been doing was just getting out there and talking to the customers. The business, I wrote this masterpiece of a business plan. It was close to 200 pages. My current business plan is about 5. And it captures the absolute essence of the business. But yeah, I spent so much time analysing it, and that's my Oracle training. You got to get all those things right. And then when I started working with my customers and they talked to me and they said, you know what, this doesn't really work, you should be, and they were great. And I still do this now. I try and get into at least 50% of the field activities and talk to them. And the customers love it that I'm out there. But I learned so much, and my business has had to change drastically as a consequence of what they told me.
What's the difference between the service that you're providing today compared to the sort of blueprint service that you anticipated would represent your proposition when you first started out?
Okay, well, first of all, I thought I was just going to deal with single box, right? It was going to be one item, one thing. Everybody fits into this box, literally, you know. And that they were going to abide by my rules because I was providing this awesome service and people would just want it. Well, it doesn't work like that, especially not in the on-demand. It's not only that they want something now, they want it their way. So I had to learn to be flexible. I had to learn what people wanted to use the service for. And my customers told me. And it turned out that this box was really nice because it was lockable and secure. But what they really wanted to do was store a set of golf clubs, you know, their winter clothing. They wanted to store a chair because, you know, they just had too many of them. So they bought a set of 6, but their apartment's really only for 4, and they want those extra 2 to come back just when they have guests over. They wanted to store a sofa couch. They bought the sofa couch for guests, but it doesn't really fit in their apartment. So getting that one item out and bringing it back when they need it, and, you know, paying $70 a month for that was worth it to them because they got their space back and they still got the benefit of having guests just for 2 or 3 nights in a month. So yeah, what I expected, the guts of it is similar, but how we interact, when people wanted the service, because we expect it to be 24-hour. The existing storage industry is 24-hour purely because people work ridiculous hours and the only time they can get to their storage unit is midnight. When you've got on demand, they actually want me to be doing stuff in peak hour, you know, that 5 to 7 p.m. or 7 to 9 a.m. in the morning before work, or just at the start of work, or just as work's finishing. I had to adapt to that.
So this is not really storage, is it? This is a kind of an Internet of Things play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The way we see it and the way we see this going is that they're documenting what they have stored with us. That gives us the ability, as we build this platform out, to allow them to share their lives with people. And it can be as simple as, you know, they put their wardrobe with us, they take an inventory of it, and they can put that up on Facebook and say, hey, fashionistas, this is what I've got. They can start swapping those items out because we don't have to deliver it to you. We can deliver it to your friend or your sister. It's also that potential for renting of stuff. So if it's sitting with me, why not say to somebody, hey, listen, I've got a bike that I haven't used for 3 months. I don't want to get rid of it. But if anybody wants to borrow it for the weekend, you know, here's a small fee. These guys will deliver it because it's part of the service. Why not? And there's that whole Internet of Things connecting you.
Is there anything else going on in Hong Kong that's similar to this from a very sort of 39,000 feet broad picture perspective? Because it sounds like you're really onto something if you're, in a sense, Uberizing people's items in a marketplace like we have, where storage comes at a premium. So what's the next 5 to 10 years if you take your business to its logical consequence?
Okay, well, the way I can see this is we're going to expand outside of just storage, and we'll make it part of their lives. So we'll make it more meaningful for the people so that they're actually connected. Storage is about disconnection. We want people to connect. We want people to be engaged. So one of the things we're working on at the moment, and we do it but not well, is actually engaging with our customers and saying, look, this is what you've got with us, this is how you're being active, this is really what you need and what you don't need. Now there's stuff that they'll be emotionally connected to that they'll never get rid of, but the idea is that we engage and improve people's lives by saying, look, you've had a bike with us for 12 months, you're wasting your money, why don't we sell it for you? Clear that out, you save money, they love us, and they'll do references to other people because we're improving their life, we're improving, their cash flow because they're not paying money, and we engage with them. Otherwise, if they say, no, I really want that, say, well, let us get you out there. We connect them with what's going on in society. We're able to identify the types of items that they've got stored, and because of the amount of data, we don't know who the people is, but we can do newsletters out going, hey, to the bike people, here's a bike-a-thon that's going on. If you've got a bike, call us and we can get the bike to that bike-a-thon for you and pick it up afterwards. And we get people engaged in the society. But I also see it as something that we can do to help businesses. And I think the next step for us, once we get this sorted out, is actually doing exactly the same thing for startup businesses. And it's there's the pick and pack area that's done for the big corporations, big companies, or even medium companies. There's a gap there for the little guy who's got one box that they need pick and pack. If we can help kickstart their career, their industry, then they'll remember that for us, and we'll get references going on. So I see us going out from the consumer and moving into the business and being that support mechanism for pretty much anybody. Just moving stuff around and getting them connected. So yeah, I see this being huge.
And there's a significant data piece to this, right?
There's a lot of data. Yeah, we a lot more than I expected. We really need to track everything that the customer does, every interaction, primarily for their security, so that and our protection as well, because the drivers go out, there might be a mismatch saying the driver's delivered something, the customer says it's not there. We need to track where everything is. We need to know what items they're bringing in out because we provide insurance as part of it. So we need to make sure all the data is correct, so the customer is protected, and that we're in a position to say, well, this is what's happened, so what went wrong.
And that data is another opportunity again for you, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're still new, and it's on the horizon, but it will allow us to work with our customers better, and it'll also allow us to understand what people want. Right now we're doing it through Q&A when we see the customers, but in a couple of years' time, I can see us just saying, well, look, this is the trend that's going on, so that we can start predicting what customers' needs are and get there before they know they need it. Right now we're reacting to customers. The next step is understanding where it's going based on what they're doing and making sure we're there. And I've got a couple of, and I'm not going to say it here, but I've got a couple of products that are coming out in February, March next year that I'm incredibly excited about. And all the testing we've done, it's starting to get that emotional connection to the products that they're going to store and what it's all about. I'm not sure it's a huge revenue spinner, but it's a one that will make people understand that something doesn't have to be in your house for you to be connected to it. So yeah, I honestly didn't imagine that I would get so excited about storage.